So, this last week, there's been some news in the political sphere as it is. Well, a little bit. We'll get into it. The primaries in Michigan has been a big talking point last week. At least in terms of like the Democratic side, when you look at the Republican side, I mean, not much of a surprise. Donald Trump winning most of the votes. Nikki Haley, I was honestly surprised she got over 25%, and there was 3% that went to uncommitted, which is a very small percentage, nothing to really, notice there, nothing to really focus on there. But then you look at the Democratic side, and while Biden did get a large amount of the vote, there is a large amount that voted for uncommitted, a lot larger than normal. Well, not even normal, just a lot of people did not expect this amount. 13.2%, over 100,000 votes, which is kind of crazy. This all kind of stems from a movement that people in Michigan um, were kind of setting out. A lot of people on the Democratic side wanted voters to vote uncommitted in the Democratic primary because of Biden's handling of uh, Israel's genocide campaign in Gaza. And I'm trying to find the exact district because from what I've seen, because I made sure to try to look up reports on this, but I believe the district in which um, Detroit lands in, which is a very populated area, I believe that actually had a large amount of the votes of the uncommitted votes. I'm trying to see if there's like a map or somewhere. Okay, here we go. So let's look. It's Wayne County. Wayne County had most of them. Remember, from what I remember, it was mostly Wayne County. Had most of like the uncommitted votes. Yep, 16%. No, there was I mean, percentage wise, actually no, it's still bigger. Like, so it had eight. Oh no, that's 26,000 uncommitted votes, and that's a big deal because let me double check here on my phone real quick. If you remember the UAW strike, that happened a couple months ago, I believe it was in Detroit because like Biden visited the picket line that they were at. Yeah, it was in Wayne County. It was in Wayne, Michigan, which I believe would be in Wayne County, right? Yeah, it's a city in Wayne County. So even though he was there to support the UAW strike, a lot of people there, but he still got a lot of the votes. Like compared to Trump, actually Trump got a lot more votes in Wayne County, which I mean just goes to show that the area around there, which is seemingly mostly Republican. Well, I mean, how many votes in total? I'm not gonna count all that. But I mean, just this is just such an unprecedented number for this. Like, and again, this is just a primary. Biden still won, but it just goes to show the commitment that people have towards this. And still, it's just to me, this is just and to a lot of people, this is a sign of the Democratic side just not, a good chunk of the Democratic side, the left, just not being in support of Biden, just from his handling of, you know, Israel's genocide campaign in Gaza. And if they were smart, they would look at this and really react to it and change their focus. But in other news, we're still on the topic of the response of Biden's handling of the Israel genocide campaign. We have the 30 Rock protest. A Jewish Voice for Peace protest at 30 Rock precedes Biden's late night appearance. So here we have, I'm just going to read this article. On Monday afternoon, dozens of Jewish protesters and their allies demonstrated at the headquarters of NBC television in New York City, demanding that President Biden, who was appearing there later in the day, call for an Israeli ceasefire in Gaza. Since October 7th, Israel's genocidal siege and bombardment of Gaza has killed almost 30,000 Palestinians, including more than 12,300 children. Thousands more are believed to be buried under the rubble. Government officials in Gaza have warned that over 700,000 Palestinians in Gaza, a third of the population, are at a risk of starving to death due to Israel's relentless starvation campaign. The New York City chapter of Jewish Voice for Peace coordinated the protests inside the lobby at 30 Rockefeller Center, NBC's headquarters, prior to Biden's arrival. Around 100 demonstrators took part in the protests, according to the organization, and around 50 members were arrested, which also made headlines because a star from Euphoria, Hunter Schafer, I believe that's how you pronounce her last name, was amongst the protesters who got arrested. Beyond calling for a ceasefire, protesters demanded that Biden stop funneling billions of dollars in military aid to Israel. As Jewish New Yorkers, we are absolutely outraged that President Biden is actively supporting a genocide against the Palestinians of Gaza, said Ray Sapper, an organizer for Jewish Voice of Peace. The president needs to start answering to the American people, said Eve Feldberg, another member of the organization who took part in the protests, not the genocidal Israeli government and the people who have made it clear we want a ceasefire now and weapons embargo on Israel. The lobby was full of protesters chanting "Let Gaza live" while wearing black shirts that read "Not in my name, but not in our name." Protesters also unfurled banners that read "Never again for anyone." The protest marks the second time Jewish Voice for Peace sought to directly confront Biden while he was visiting New York City. Earlier this month, the organization blockaded his motorcade during a political fundraiser he was attending. I also saw a video of someone interrupting. I don't know the exact specifications of it, but his wife, Jill, I believe her name is Julian Biden. She was like making some speech, and someone interrupted her during that speech to talk about what's going on in Gaza right now. And people were being really rude to her. They were like grabbing at her too, just random people, not even security. Later, after the protesters dispersed, Biden visited an ice cream store near the Rockefeller lobby, where he told reporters that a ceasefire was possible within the coming days. Sure. My national security advisor tells me we're close, we're not done yet. My hope is by next Monday we'll have a ceasefire. Are you sure about that? I highly doubt that. Unless you force them to. Unless you do something that will force them to do so. Israeli officials were apparently caught off guard by Biden's comments and said that they were unaware of any plans for a ceasefire agreement within the time frame. Biden appeared less skeptical of the possibility of a ceasefire during his interview with Myers, which was shown on his television late Monday evening. There is a path forward with difficulty. Just goes to show I don't know. He's just saying anything, I feel like, at this point. Like, before this, he didn't really care, but I think because he realizes he's losing support from this, like a lot of support, that he needs to kind of save face, despite the fact that even Israeli officials are just like, yeah, we're not planning on doing that. But yeah, this just all terrible stuff. I mean, I think the uncommitted situation with the Michigan primaries is a good situation because I think it shows that the Biden supporters, the people on the left, aren't. I mean, they're still pretty big. Again, he still got 81%, but at the same time, from what I understand about this, is that the uncommitted movement, like the movement to get people on the left to vote uncommitted, was very short notice. So I think, who knows, maybe if it was planned ahead of time, they would have been able to get a larger vote. The fact that they were able to get 13% is insane on its own. So, but hopefully this is um, the bright step forward in terms of how Biden goes from this and changes his strategy, puts a little bit more pressure on Israel. But I don't know. It doesn't look to, again, there doesn't look to be a ceasefire anytime soon. But who knows? if things start to get really bad, I feel like he'll finally start pushing, but by then it probably will be too late. But despite the fact that this is some terrible news, we do have one good thing that's going on right now, and that is that Mitch McConnell is stepping down as Senate GOP leader, ending historic 17-year run. Now he's not dropping out like right away. I think he said he's gonna finish his term and walk out, but I'm gonna be honest, I do not see that happening. I do not see him making it to the end of his term. But here we have, just gonna read this article right here. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell announced he's stepping down as the upper chamber's GOP leader after November's elections, ending a 17-year run that made him the longest-serving party leader in Senate history and often the most powerful Republican in Washington. Mitch McConnell, who turned 82 last week, announced his decision on the Senate floor on Wednesday. I always imagined a moment where I had total clarity and peace about the sunset of my work. A moment when I'm certain I have helped preserve the ideals I so strongly believe. I mean, perverse is probably a more fitting term, honestly, for what he's done. That day arrived today. In emotional remarks, Mitch McConnell reflected on his 40 years in the Senate, saying that when he was first elected to the chamber in 1984, he never could have imagined becoming the longest-serving senator to represent Kentucky in the state's history. I bet a bunch of people couldn't imagine it, probably because it sounded like fucking hell. To serve Kentucky in the Senate has been the honor of my life. To lead my Republican colleagues has been the highest privilege, he said, before announcing that this would be his last term as the Senate GOP leader. President Biden praised Mitch McConnell for his career, of course he did, saying that during the years that they worked together, the two could speak honestly and work to put the country ahead of themselves. That just sounds gross. Like, they try to frame it in like a very positive light, but when you say it out loud and understand that this is Biden and Mitch McConnell, it a lot of things start to make sense. American democracy is based on elected. Oh, this is Biden. American democracy is based on elected representatives coming together and bridging their different points of view to find common ground, whatever. But yeah, I don't see him making it. Oh, they even talk about it. I was literally just gonna talk about this. Last year, Mitch McConnell suffered a fall that sparked concern about his health, followed by a pair of incidents where he appeared to freeze up while speaking to reporters. When he saw the Grim Reaper during those like little press conference or whatever, though many in his conference expressed steadfast confidence in his leadership after the incidents, some questioned his ability to continue to lead the party. McConnell reportedly shrugged all the questions and made no mention of himself during remarks on Wednesday. Wasn't there like a whole thing where like there was a report that basically said that he was not fit to be in his position anymore because of his health? But yeah, we're gonna take a look back at that glorious time. He just kind of froze up. Look at that. That man saw death.
Path to finishing the NDA this week has been good bipartisan cooperation and a string of
That's when he saw the Grim Reaper, and the Grim Reaper was just holding one of those. What are they called? They're the hourglass jars with sand in it. The Grim Reaper was just holding one of those and was just looking at him, just being like, "Your time's running up, McConnell. You're almost there, you turtle-looking man." Yeah, this man is not making it to the end of his little term here. This is the sound that was happening while he was staring at him. He saw that Grim Reaper just looking at him, staring at him. You can even tell from the guys just standing behind him, they're just like, is he gonna say anything? Yeah, at least there's some good news that's coming out of this. I mean, it's something that No, some pretty. I mean, it's not too small. Again, he's been GOP leader in the Senate for a very long time. It's not just something to like gloss over. But at the same time, I mean, this is the only W it seems like we're gonna get for some time. Because you know, with the primaries going to show that Biden really needs to change his game, and it doesn't seem like he's like going to, as well as his response to the 30 Rock protest. It's yeah, you know what? We can take as we just are trying to look for as many wins as we can. So yeah, that's about it for that right there.